Welcome to another MSP 360 Tech Bites. Today we're talking about top security priorities that MSP should be considering for the new year. Now we're getting very close to 2025, and as you're gearing up for 2025, it's a really good time to start thinking about setting clear cybersecurity priorities for your customers. That involves creating some kind of detailed plan of how you might change your services, augment them with new solutions, putting in new priorities in place in terms of how you're going to better secure them as well, and then figure out how you're going to actually accomplish those goals, execute them, track the results. And then as you've augmented your services next year, you're also thinking about how do you implement them in a way that is both profitable and predictable. And so we want to suggest here maybe 3 cybersecurity priorities that you should consider. The first one is threat detection and response. Now, this is usually a combination of abilities. It's sort of right there in the name anyways, where you're trying to identify threats as they're happening and then have an automated way of responding to them. And that should be somewhat across the board for your entire customer organization and not just, let's say, endpoint with endpoint detection response. Nothing wrong with EDR, but we're really talking about something that's a little broader across the entirety of your customer's organization here. And the goal is to identify and prevent those threats from ever impacting the organization and stopping them early on. It also helps identify gaps that might exist within your cybersecurity strategy within your customers, as well as maybe just something within a one-off customer where they need to shore up a little bit of their cybersecurity there. The second consideration would be continuous security monitoring and alerting. A little bit different here. This is usually made up of a number of different solutions. The goal here is to automatically monitor security controls, vulnerabilities, and even for cyber threats as well, using threat intelligence, utilizing a number of different solutions. You could think about, for example, utilizing something like EDR as one portion of this ability to continuously monitor security and alert on it. And you're just doing that from the endpoint, but then you also want to do it from the network, maybe doing it from file servers, database servers, and so on, the directory service. And you're putting all that data into probably a SIM solution, a security information and event management solution, so that you have this ability to centrally get visibility into everything that's going on within the organization, and then alerting on it as well in case there's something that isn't detected by a solution, like the threat detection or response solution. This is something that maybe looks a little unusual. And so maybe someone should go ahead and look into it and see if there's something there or not. So having some means to monitor and alert on the security of the environment would be kind of important here as well. The third consideration for next year is thinking about security compliance. Many of you focus on a very specific set of businesses. You might just do attorneys, or maybe you do dentists or doctors' offices, those kinds of things. And each one of those industries has very specific regulations. As I'm sure you've learned over the last couple of years, those regulations tend now to have some kind of data privacy or data protection portion to the regulation itself, each focused on protecting about customer information, person identifiable information, and so on. And those regulations are necessary there to limit risk. And you want to make sure that you're putting in some kind of security compliance service in here to help limit that risk of maybe data theft, help avoid penalties for your customers, et cetera, et cetera. And then if you think about it, it really has a lot just to do with data protection, about identifying the data and making sure that there are security controls around that data as well. And you're just using the regulation and its mandates as the foundation for what your cybersecurity services should look like around security compliance. For all 3 of these considerations, you could think about risk assessments. There's an easy way for you to put in some kind of, whether it's a free or a paid risk assessment, that helps determine the state of whether or not your customer needs any one of these new services as you're trying to roll them out. And as cyber attacks continue into next year, you should expect they're going to continue in frequency, in sophistication, and success, unfortunately. And so that's why it's really important right now to start prioritizing on things like threat detection and response, the continuous security monitoring and alerting, as well as security compliance. Hope this was helpful. Thanks a lot for watching. This has been another MSP 360 Tech Bites.